Greetings, mind crafters, and welcome to another glorious day here in northern Vermont. My name is Kimberly Quinn, and that's little Giovanni right there. We're on snow. Well, one of us is on snowshoes. He's got pretty good pads on the bottom of his feet, so he's okay. So anyway, we are up. It's daylight saving, so it feels later than it is. It's early. I just have to tell you. Look how sparkly it is. I don't know if you can see all those sparkles. It is like the sparkliest day. I feel like I just want to sing the song from Frozen, like, let it go. Do you know what I mean? Like, wow, it is so sparkly and amazing. It's a bluebird. And so, yes, I want to talk today about, you might hear a little crunching because I am moving along today on the snowshoes. And there goes little G right there, right up the path. And we've got a path which makes it easier. Having a path in life, metaphorically, usually makes it easier, right? And so I wanted to talk today about becoming a solo tree hugger. And I do not identify as a hippie. No offense to hippies. I'm big fans of hippies. I know some hippies who I really love dearly. However, I don't identify that way. We're talking about a couple of things, the solo part and the tree hugger part. So first, the solo part is the importance of solitude. We talked about that before, so we're kind of doing like a blend today. Because no matter how extroverted you may or may not be, or no matter how introverted you may or may not be, we all need some solitude. Some more than others, but even us screaming extroverts need some time alone. Or semi-alone. Because being with Giovanni is kind of like being alone, because he's like super, quiet, respectful, kind of hangs out. So anyway, we all need that, and we have to carve it in. And I think a lot of people don't realize, as far as the happiness, well-being, positivity lifestyle, life is fast out there, especially when we're in a, fast-paced, individualistic society. We are moving like gerbils on crack, right? And we're also media saturated, blah, 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 blah. So it's gotten to a point, it's not like being in the 1800s churning butter. Not that they didn't have all, a whole lot to contend with back then that we don't have now. So we're not saying that. However, it wasn't as loud and busy for sure. I mean, it just couldn't have been, right? In fact, before electricity was invented, they basically went to sleep with the chickens. You know what I mean? Like candles and it's done, right? So now it's just a whole different world, even though they obviously had different stressors back then that we don't have now, for sure, obviously. But the thing is, my point is, because we are so fast-paced, we have got to, schedule time alone, like you'd schedule a haircut, or even better yet, a dentist appointment. Because you know what? If any of you have had an abscessed tooth, I have. It takes over because it's from here up. It's not like an ankle where you can, put it up on a pillow. Not that that's fun, but when you've got a toothache, you can think of nothing else. And you know what? You will get yourself to the dentist, and everybody else will figure it out. They'll figure out lunch. They'll figure out dinner. They'll figure out everything that they need to figure out so that you can get it done. Well, you know what? We need to kind of have that attitude in general. That we need to schedule something like a dentist appointment. Or let's not say the urgency of an abscess, but let's just say a regular every 6 months cleaning. You get there because you want to, because you don't want your teeth to fall out, right? So schedule it. I am out here right now. It's daylight saving, so it's later than it feels to the bod, But I grab my time in the morning because that's when nobody else is up. And I can have my peace and quiet. I can empty my mind. As Joe Dispenza says, let go of the knowns. All the knowns are going to figure it out. The Zoom meetings you have, the bills, the that, and that. Purge that stuff so you can be in the unknown. And for me today, so you can be in the sparkly, because it is so incredibly sparkly out here. I also have I did my gratitude journal before I got here, because that's the first thing I do right out of the gate. Put the hot tea in, do the gratitude journal. I am thankful for, I'm grateful for. We have one of our daughters home, and it was absolutely on my list. We enjoyed her last night. And then out to the woods. You got to carve it in. So for me, if I miss, which is rarely do I miss my whole gratitude journal routine. Once the day gets going, it's like, that's it, it's over. Especially when the kids were home, and I miss them dearly. I don't mean that for one bit, one second. But it's just like once everybody's up, it's school, but all that, it's gone. It's over. You missed your window. So for me, it's the morning. Other people, night owls, and that's okay too. But the other thing, okay, so we had the solitude thing, and then the other thing is the tree hugger thing. I actually hugged a tree. It's starting to become like a thing now. I hugged a tree the other day because I just felt like it. G and I were way back. There he goes. G and I were way back there. We're in the beginning of the trail right now. We used to occasionally see people, not that much. And I love people, just not in the woods. I really like this as extroverted as I am. I really don't have a desire in the world to see anybody out here except Giovanni. Anyway, so I hugged a tree. We were way back there. And I hugged a tree out of gratitude. Might sound a little weird. Maybe it is a little weird, but it felt good. Because the trees are so amazing. They're so consistent. They're so protective. You know, sometimes I'll be out here with G. Oh my God, is it sparkly? Oh my God, is it sparkly? Well, I don't know if you can see that, but it's just looks like the Frozen movie, only the graphics are way better. Anyway, so I was feeling grateful for the trees and the woods and being back in there. And I know when I ski, like a lot of times it's blowing. It's just the wind is howling, or it's drizzling or sleeting or doing whatever it's doing. And when you go in the woods, that basically stops because the trees protect you from all that wind. And when I ski, sometimes I'll see a lot of people out in the groomers, which is fine. You know, good. And I've made less traffic in the trees. But I'm thinking, you go ahead and be out there in the flat stuff or the well-groomed stuff, because in here, this is where the snow is and the wind is not. I'm coming, G. And so I just love it. And I'm also just feeling grateful for the notch in general and that whole thing. And so that brings us to, okay, tree hugging thing, appreciation, gratitude, and just nature in general. So oh my God, it's so glorious. Nature in general. So here's the thing. Nature has such an incredible, in addition to me being grateful for it, the healing power of nature is absolutely incredible. Nature just doesn't care how tall you are, how thick or thin you are, how old you are, what the color of your skin is, how much education you have, how much money you have. Nature doesn't give a shit. It's just here, and it's accepting and inviting, and it's just so glad to have you. I feel like that when G and I are back in the woods. The notch is like, hey, they're back, you know? And it doesn't matter if you're in sweatpants. Sometimes when I come up here really early, I'll still be in my jammies, which my grandmother would piece her ashes together. She knew that, which probably does know that. But if I were like in public or something, but I'm out in the woods and I'm comfortable, and like if it's 6:30 in the morning, who cares? No one. And then I'll be out here. I did a video once during the spring or fall, I don't know, but the birds were out, and these two blue jays were kind of working really hard at impressing their women. I mean, just like diving and doing the big fluffed up chest and the wing thing that they do, and making a ton of screechy noises. And they were just having a ball. I did a video about that. And then I named the woodpecker Joe. He's out here a lot in the same spot, pecking away. And they're just kind of doing their thing. Like, you know, Joe the woodpecker didn't care that the blue jays are trying to impress their women. She wasn't even paying them a lot of attention, to be honest with you. Joe the woodpecker doesn't care what the salamanders are doing in the pond. Well, maybe he does if he wants to eat them. But I think they're more focused on bugs. And I go by the beavers occasionally. They give a smack to let you know about the boundaries. I mean, nature is such a wonderful metaphor, you know, because it is life, right? It is life. And like the beavers are the boundary setters. They're like, hey, don't tread on me, man. This is my pond. Letting you know. So the beavers, to me, I did this whole thing on it. Beavers are letting you know that they value themselves. Smack. Stay away. This is my turf. Okay. You know, we could all learn to get better at that, right? To know our own beaver value. And let people know that they're too close when they're too close. I mean, that's just such a good thing. So I could go on and on about the different parts of oh, and there's also the bear. Because sometimes when I'm out here in the fall, which is when they're kind of mostly doing their bear thing, G and I don't usually come out when it's getting close to dark, kind of for that reason. But one day we cut it pretty close. And you could just hear, they make sounds like owls. Kind of. It's like a whoo. And they answer you like, "Ooh, how you doing over there? Ooh, pretty good over here. Ooh, what are those humans doing here right now? We're trying to scurry around for food. Ooh, they could be our food." They didn't say that. Well, maybe they did say that. I'm not really too fluent in bear. But the whole thing is like, there's so many great metaphors here. And the main theme of this video, well, the two main themes, there's two, is to carve out solitude because we all need it. We need it like oxygen. So if it's a need from on the inside, we can only fix it from on the inside. Take charge, schedule, be in the quiet. Even if you don't have this kind of gorgeous woods, find quiet in a park or in your home or something like that. And then also find a way to be in nature somehow, some way. I mean, Central Park is what I usually might go to for the urban spots, but the Central Park is huge, and you can find solitude, and even in Central Park, you can, you know, because it's so vast, and you just gotta work at it and schedule it, and that comes down to everything hey Jay, what we were talking about with self-care is the roots of self-care, about what we're talking about, finding solitude, finding nature, giving yourself some breathing time, well, for me, especially before people wake up. What that comes down to is self-value. If you don't know your own value, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to do anything I'm talking about right now, because the roots of self-care are knowing your value, knowing that you are worthy of carving out the time. You are worthy of creating boundaries like the beavers do. You are worthy of doing your thing up in the trees to get your needs met, eating the bugs you need to eat, like Joe the woodpecker. You are worthy of flaunting around and flirting with people. You are worthy of all of it. And you've got to know that if you're going to practice self-care. You got to not just think it, you got to know it. It's in the hard drive. You got to know your value in your hard drive. So that is the theme for today. Become a solo tree hugger. Roots of that, so to speak, are in knowing your own value. This is Kimberly Quinn signing off from the beautiful, sparkly Notch in northern Vermont. Have a mindful day.